Welcome to Grace Mitchell Stories, where every tale reminds us that kindness can be found in the most unexpected places. If you love stories that inspire hope and courage, make sure to subscribe, like, and share, because today's story will touch your heart. It began on a quiet highway late in the afternoon. A storm was brewing overhead, and the rumble of thunder rolled across the sky. A line of cars sped by, most drivers too busy, too distracted, to notice what was happening on the roadside. But one man did. He was a biker, leather jacket, tattoos, a rugged figure astride a roaring Harley-Davidson. Too many, he looked intimidating. Strangers crossed the street when they saw him. Parents tugged their children closer. He was used to it, the stares, the judgment. But on that day, he wasn't just a biker. He was something far more. Because lying by the roadside was a little girl. Her face was streaked with tears, her clothes damp from the drizzle, her small body trembling as she clutched a stuffed rabbit to her chest. Cars passed, but no one stopped. No one. Until the biker pulled over. What happened next? The truth that came out when the little girl finally spoke left everyone in tears. The biker's name was Jake Carter, a man in his late 30s. His life had been rough. He'd grown up in foster care, drifted between jobs, found solace only in the open road and the brotherhood of his motorcycle club. Outsiders often assumed the worst about him. But beneath the leather and grit was a man who knew pain, who understood what it meant to be lost and alone. Jake was on his way. Back from visiting a fellow veteran when he spotted the child, he slammed the brakes, the bike screeching to a halt. He pulled off his helmet, his sharp blue eyes scanning the girl. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old. She was sitting on the gravel shoulder, knees pulled to her chest, tears streaming down her face. Her small backpack lay torn beside her. Jake crouched down slowly, careful not to scare her. "Hey, kiddo," he said gently, his deep voice softening. "Are you okay? What's wrong?" The girl flinched, hugging her stuffed rabbit tighter. "Please, don't hurt me," she whispered. Jake's chest tightened. He set his helmet on the ground, holding his hands up. "I won't hurt you. I promise. My name's Jake. What's yours?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Emily." "Emily," he repeated softly, like it was the most important name in the world. "That's a beautiful name. Can you tell me why you're out here alone?" Her eyes darted toward the road, then back at him. She bit her lip. Finally, she whispered, "I ran away." Jake's heart sank. "From where?" Emily shook her head, tears spilling over. "Home?" At that moment, another car sped by, splashing muddy water across the shoulder. Jake shielded her with his body, glaring at the vehicle disappearing down the road. He looked back at Emily. "Listen," he said gently. "It's not safe out here. Can I take you somewhere safe? We'll figure it out together." Emily's eyes searched his face. She seemed to see something there, not danger, but a strange, steady kindness. Slowly, she nodded. Jake picked up her backpack, slung it over his shoulder, and lifted her onto his bike. He wrapped his leather jacket around her small body to shield her from the cold drizzle. "Hang on tight, Emily," he said as he started the engine. "I got you." For the first time that day, she allowed herself to believe it. Jake didn't take Emily to the police station right away. He knew from experience that frightened children didn't always trust uniforms and flashing lights. Instead, he took her to the Rusty Anchor Diner, a small roadside spot where bikers often gathered. The owner, Linda, was a grandmotherly woman who had known Jake for years. She looked up in surprise when he walked in carrying the little girl. "Jake Carter?" she exclaimed. "What in heaven's name? She needs a safe place." Jake interrupted softly. "Can you help?" Linda's eyes softened. "Of course." Emily was given a warm booth by the window, a cup of hot cocoa, and a grilled cheese sandwich. At first, she only picked at the food. But when Jake sat across from her, removing his gloves and helmet, she began nibbling slowly. "You're safe here," Jake reassured her. "No one will hurt you." For a long while, Emily was silent. Then, her small voice broke through. Jake leaned forward. "What about him?" Her lip quivered. "He yells all the time. He hits things. He scares me. And my mom—" She stopped, choking back a sob. "She never says anything. She just cries when he's not looking." Jake felt his blood boil. His fists clenched on the table. He had seen this before. He'd lived versions of it himself in foster homes where adults had failed to protect the children they were supposed to love. "Emily," he said gently, "thank you for telling me. That was very brave." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I just couldn't stay. I thought maybe if I ran away, someone would notice." Jake's chest ached. He reached across the table, his large calloused hand resting lightly on hers. Well, I noticed, and I'm not letting you go through this alone. Emily stared at him, her small hand trembling beneath his, but for the first time since he'd found her, she managed a faint smile. Jake knew what he had to do, but it wasn't going to be easy. He contacted a friend, Officer Daniels, a local cop he trusted. Within the hour, the officer arrived at the diner. Emily stiffened when she saw the uniform. Jake crouched beside her. It's okay, kiddo. Daniels is a good man. He'll help after some coaxing. Emily told her story again. Officer Daniels listened carefully, his jaw tightening. This needs to be reported, he said firmly. We'll make sure she's safe. But when the authorities contacted Emily's home, her stepfather, Mark, stormed into the diner. His face was red with rage, his fists clenched. There you are, you little brat, he snarled. Making a move toward Emily. Jake stood instantly, stepping between them like a wall of steel. Back off, he growled. Mark sneered. Who the hell are you? Some low-life biker playing hero? Jake didn't flinch. I'm the guy who's not letting you lay a finger on her. The diner went silent. Other bikers, who had begun to gather, rose from their seats. Their presence was intimidating. A dozen leather-clad men and women glaring at the enraged stepfather. Officer Daniels placed a hand on Mark's shoulder. That's enough. You're not taking her anywhere tonight. Mark spat curses, but surrounded by bikers and with the officer's grip firm, he backed down. This isn't over, he shouted as he was escorted out. Emily had buried her face in Jake's jacket, sobbing uncontrollably. Jake held her close, rubbing her back gently. You're safe now? He's not touching you again. The truth was out. Emily's tears, her fear, were not the cries of a misbehaving child, but the desperate voice of a girl who had been suffering in silence. And the biker who found her had given her the courage to speak. The following weeks were difficult, but they were filled with hope. Emily was placed in temporary foster care while the courts reviewed her case. Jake visited often, bringing her small gifts, a new stuffed rabbit, a helmet painted pink so she could ride safely with him, storybooks to read together. Slowly, Emily began to heal. She laughed more, ate more, and slept without nightmares. She even began drawing pictures of motorcycles with stick figure riders, one big, one small, cruising together under a sunny sky. Jake became her rock. The biker who once thought he had no purpose now found himself living for the smile of a little girl, who had trusted him on the side of the road. The day of the court hearing finally came. Emily's stepfather glared from across the room, but she didn't flinch. She had Jake and Officer Daniels sitting right behind her. When asked if she wanted to say anything, Emily stood bravely. Her small voice echoed in the silent courtroom. I don't want to live in fear anymore, she said. I just want to feel safe. And I want people to know that bikers can be heroes too, because Jake saved me. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Even the judge's stern expressions softened. In the end, custody was removed from the stepfather. Emily was placed in her grandmother's care, where she would finally have peace. Months later, Emily and Jake could be seen riding together on sunny afternoons, her pink helmet gleaming as she held onto his jacket. Laughter carried on the wind. The biker who had once been judged by his appearance was now celebrated as a hero. But Jake didn't care about the praise. All he cared about was the little girl who had given his life meaning, and Emily. She never forgot the day she was saved. Whenever people asked what happened, she would smile and say, "A biker stopped when nobody else did, and he gave me back my life." This story reminds us of something powerful. Kindness doesn't always come dressed in suits or uniforms. Sometimes it comes on two wheels, wearing leather and riding through the storm. Emily's tears told a story of pain, but Jake's courage rewrote it into one of hope. A little girl's trust and a biker's heart created a bond that changed both their lives forever. So the next time you see someone who looks different, who seems tough or intimidating, remember this. Compassion lives in unexpected places, and heroes don't always look like we imagine. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Grace Mitchell Stories. And tell us in the comments, have you ever seen kindness come from the most unexpected person? Your story might inspire someone else today because at the end of the day, it only takes one act of courage to change a life and sometimes to save it.